Hello, world. Hello, YouTube. And welcome to my Authentic August. It is a daily blog, and I decided to just go on live and just read it along for whoever wants to read along. And hopefully, it helps me practice articulating to the camera and practice organizing my thoughts. I kind of just wanted to have a daily practice because I was in a creative slump for a while. So, writing every day, I think, will help. And writing 500 words a day. You can go to the first blog post. The only 3 rules I have are to write 500 words a day, publish the post before midnight, and to be authentic. So those are the 3 rules. And of course, actually posting every single day this month. So you can head on over to christiankiwa.com if you want to read along. There's also a link in the description. But I am tired, so let's get this read along going. All right. So, rose colored glasses, part 1. Authentic August, day 5. Generally speaking, I'm a positive person. I'm an optimist. I always seem to find the silver lining. My glass is usually half full. But left unchecked, my proclivity for positive thinking can go a bit overboard. Rather than uncomfortably sitting with a negative emotion, even if that emotion is entirely called for, I'd rather put my handy dandy rose-colored glasses. I'd rather put on my handy dandy rose-colored glasses and pretend like everything is just perfectly hunky dory. Just take a peek at my self-talk. Well, at least I'm alive. It could be worse. I have so much to be grateful for, so I shouldn't feel badly about this, or about anything else for that matter. Look, a good attitude is a good thing, and it can be developed with practice. But if I've learned anything from Pixar, it's that negative emotion, which is expressed in a healthy way, is also a good thing. And there's a hyperlink to the scene from Inside Out where sadness helps Riley, the main human character, process her emotions. Anyways, you could see the link. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen Inside Out. Anyways, let's try that again. Look, a good attitude is a good thing, and it can be developed with practice. But if I've learned anything from Pixar, it's that negative emotion, which is expressed in a healthy way, is also a good thing. And this skill also can be developed with practice. So I need not deny my disappointment. I need not shy away from my sadness. I need only to seek out and practice healthier ways to deal with my emotional distress. I'm adding in words that aren't there. To deal with emotional distress. Throwing on my rose-tinted shades has served me well up to now, but it is the strategy I conjured up in my childhood, and since I'm no longer a kid, despite my best efforts, I am due for an update. But before I brainstorm better ways to deal with those big feelings, and there's a hyperlink to a Sesame Street YouTube video that explains what big feelings are, I wanted to give my best guess as to why negative emotions are difficult for me in the first place. I know that they're difficult for everyone, but I have a particularly hard time even recognizing / accepting when I'm feeling bad, sad, or mad. So here's my take on why that's the case. Back when I was a wee lad, ellipses, ... Obviously, overgeneralizations are unfair to make due to the lack of nuance, but based on what I've heard from friends and based on my own experience, here's an overgeneralization I'll make with that limited evidence. Asian immigrant families are not so emotionally vulnerable. I'm a first-gen Filipino American, and both my parents were born and raised in the Philippines, and both of them come from old-school Filipino families. And what that means is we don't spend that much time talking about our feelings. even if they're good, and especially if they're bad. I won't dive into a deep analysis of the Filipino psyche, but I will say that we are a very proud people. And sometimes when you're proud, it's tough to be vulnerable. And in the rare instance that you do share yourself vulnerably, some might call you, typo, some might call you weak, or maybe some other not so nice words in Tagalog that I won't share here. On the flip side, we're also a very happy people. Even our country's tagline is, quote, "It's more fun in the Philippines," exclamation mark, unquote. And I've experienced firsthand during my visits back home just how much joy Filipino people can generate, despite only having the essentials. And largely, that was the dominant emotion I experienced in my household growing up: joy, happiness, and love. And I will be forever grateful for that. And then there's a pause, a page break, a separator, and then it says, "I will continue this post tomorrow. I've met my 500 words, and it's just about bedtime. With love, Q." So I spent a lot of time writing that, I guess, just at least more time than yesterday, because yesterday it was 11 o'clock and I had to finish it by midnight. So this is shaping out to be more of a video that I'll probably make. I do want to explore in depth and express to my YouTube channel why I'm better acquainted with my positive emotions and why it's difficult for me to recognize and accept negative emotions. There's a lot of resistance when I experience negative emotions, and I don't think that's uh, a full way to live a human life. I think we should experience both sides of the coin, and learning to sit with your negative emotions and to move through it, to accept it, is another form of self care, of self love, and of accepting who you are and everything that comes with that. And I'm anticipating that the more I learn to do that with myself, the more, which in my mind is basically self empathy, I think the better able I'll be able to empathize with other people in a very real way. I do show up for people and I could sympathize very well. I could listen. I could be a shoulder to cry on. And I think my energy is one of caring. But one thing that I would like to work on is silencing, or at least quieting, my devil's advocate. I love challenging people's assumptions, especially my own. So when I do hear someone's problems out, often I'm way better at it now, but oftentimes I would offer the different perspective, or what if they were thinking about this? And sometimes that helps, but I guess you got to know your audience. So I don't really even do that for myself, where I just sit and listen. Like the post said, I always say stuff like, well, at least it's not that bad. It could be worse. You know, you still have everything to be grateful for, all of that. And not just letting myself feel the disappointment, feel the sadness, feel being upset, because I grew up in a household where that kind of stuff was kind of shut down, or wasn't expressed, so it wasn't really modeled. And that's kind of what I hope to get into in the next post. Who knows how long this series will be, or whatever, rose colored glasses. But basically, how there wasn't a strong model for how to a model for how to express negative emotions. And I think, I know how to express joy and love and laughter and all that, because I experienced a lot of that. And I mean, I'm reminded of one of my exes, who she never saw her parents fight. So she didn't know how to fight in a healthy way, in our relationship or any relationships that she's had. So in the same way, it's like, or even like, I was thinking about people who are really good at describing how something tastes, And if you don't have the vocabulary even to like a full broad vocabulary of the available tastes, the words in the food bank, of a word bank of of tastes, of adjectives describing tastes. That was a lot. Then are you really tasting as fully as you might be capable of? Or maybe there's like a slight nuance to the taste, but because you don't quite have the word for it, you don't really know how to describe it. And so that's a little bit of what I'm talking about with I didn't have the vocabulary, I didn't have the experience of witnessing a parent or an uncle or an aunt or a grandmother or Lola who was going through something negative or going through some negative emotion, and then walking me through what that might be. Or like if I was sad, no one's like, oh, those are some big feelings. And that's the Sesame Street. I think people use big feelings to talk to children about everything that they feel that they might not know how to deal with, and teaching them how to self-regulate. So that's what I'll talk about tomorrow. Thanks for whoever you are actually joining me live, and I will see you tomorrow. I love you, and good night.